This is Savio. I've been seeking answers to some of life's most perplexing questions my entire life. In 2014, I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer, and ever since, I realized my calling existed outside of what I knew to be familiar. This podcast is your home for survivors like myself and those who are searching to find meaning to their why. In Season 2, the show includes a mix of coaching sessions followed immediately by interviews with those from all walks of life who have been successful in the business, marketing, coaching, and financial worlds. The intent is to show the human experience in its rawest form so that others may glean insight. Nothing is rehearsed or has been edited. As a board-certified wellness coach, my job is to ask the deep questions of those trying to make sense of their place in this fractured world. I believe life speaks to us in different ways. Many of us listen but don't know how or where to begin. As someone who has crossed the bridge between life and death, I say simply, begin where you are now and get busy living. If you liked today's episode, I would appreciate it if you could share it and subscribe. Be sure to tag me at The Human Resolve so I can reciprocate in kind. So without further ado, welcome to the Human Resolve podcast. Business owner and breast cancer survivor Leeanna Gantt can design the perfect communication spec. But when asked about her personal story, she often faces an emotional block. Only by being able to reframe the conversation can she finally have the freedom to fully speak her truth. Hi, Leeanna. It's good to see you.
Hi, nice to see you too.
Good. So what would you like coaching on?
I've been thinking about this. It's a tough one because there's like so many things. But I was thinking the thing that's like top of mind for me is things like this and starting my business, things that they come to me because I had cancer, but I don't like the label of being someone who had cancer. So it's finding a way to reconcile those two things about sharing my story, but also not being so uncomfortable with the label of breast cancer survivor.
Oh, okay. So what I'm hearing is opportunities are coming to you because of what you went through, but the label of being a cancer survivor is not something that you feel completely comfortable with. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
So what would be a really great outcome for today's session?
I think to just have a way to look at it maybe differently, or so that I don't feel so uncomfortable with that, and because I do want to talk about it, and I feel like I've helped some people and it's what my business is based on, but at the same time it somehow feels weird, and I'd rather just sort of put it all behind me in a little box and be like, okay, that's over, now I'm just moving on and enjoying things. So I think finding a way to be more comfortable with it as one thing instead of looking at it as two separate things, like my life now and then, and feeling this urge to just ignore that it ever happened.
So basically it's sort of coming to terms with feeling comfortable with it, but also not sort of letting it define you. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Yeah. So what was life like before cancer?
Busy and fun, and I think I had worked in advertising for a long time and design, and I was running a charity with my daughter. She had a charity, I was working for her, so that was really funny because she started it when she was 10. But yeah, just it was mostly just fun and always something going on, and then it just came to a complete stop.
You want to sort of expound more, or you feel comfortable doing that?
Sure. I mean, when I was diagnosed, it's just the doctors tell you, it's like, oh, we're going to do these tests. And I was still just like, oh yeah, this is just one more thing I have to do and get on with dinner, and didn't really think about it. So when they said, okay, you have breast cancer, I was like, all right, yeah, let's take care of that. And then when they started explaining all the tests and more tests and more tests, and then I had to have chemo and surgery, and my treatment went on for a whole year, and I pretty much couldn't get out of bed for about 7 months of that. Just, everything I did just came to a complete and utter stop, and it was really unsettling because I've just never been that sedentary and just that unable to, help my family. So it was very weird.
What are some resources you relied on during that time?
My friends, and of course my husband and my daughter were there, and my husband a lot, and family, and everyone around me was really helpful, but there was nothing anyone could do to just make it so I could just like get up and go to dinner, make dinner for my family, or, just enjoy a day. Like all that was gone. So while I had an amazing support system, it was just weird because I've never been so helpless like that. And I didn't like that feeling.
Would you like to explore that feeling?
Sure.
So I just want you to get comfortable in your seat. If you feel inclined, you can soften your gaze or close your eyes. Just want you to take a couple of breaths in and out. Just want to do a quick body scan. So just want you to breathe into the different body parts that I mentioned. On the top of the head, the forehead, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, the lips, the neck, the shoulders, the upper body, the arms, the hands, the stomach, the lower body, the legs, the feet. Just take a couple breaths in and out again. And you mentioned not liking this feeling. What's happening, Leeanna, now?
Right now?
Yeah.
I'm very relaxed.
Yeah. But when you think back to that time, is anything coming up for you?
I'm glad it's over.
Yeah. You mentioned previously, like before cancer was fun. So what was during and after cancer like for you?
During was, well, I was gonna say it wasn't fun, but we actually my family found a way. We laughed a lot, so it made it not really fun, but much more bearable to just sort of laugh at some of the ridiculousness of things we had to do. But and then after cancer's been fun. I feel like it gave me a new perspective on things, and it really helped me define what was important moving forward and who I wanted to spend time with and how we spent time. So that's been great.
And how has that shaped? You mentioned that your work involves a little bit of that experience. How does that story get told?
How do I tell my cancer story with that? I invented a product, so I invented it during my treatment as just something that we needed as a family. So I think it gave me something else also to focus on during treatment. It was sort of like just something to be like, oh, well, what if we made this? And then when I was done with treatment, I was like, oh, hey, actually, I really do want to do this because I think I can help people. So that's how the two became so intertwined, because I actually literally came up with the idea during treatment for cancer. So yeah, they're very attached, but it made me really focus on the kind of work I want to do, and I want to do something that I feel is helping people and good for people. So I'm really excited that I did that, and I'm in the process of doing that. I guess it's not too many people know about it yet, but it will be great.
Wonderful. So what's the you mentioned, like, if I created a perfect world for you, what would you want Leeanna to be defined as?
I think just a good person, just someone who helps people, and a good mom, a good wife, a good friend. And my friends are super important to me. They're awesome. And I guess now an entrepreneur, things like when I think of myself, I don't ever think cancer survivor. Like, to me, in my head, that's a different person. Like, but it's like I don't usually use that term ever. But then if I have to tell the story of my business, then I have to, because otherwise the story doesn't make sense.
So what's a cancer survivor?
I think it could be anybody, but for some reason I don't like that label, because I know far too many actually cancer survivors, and I don't think of them first as a cancer survivor. I just think of them as whatever context I know them in. But yeah, I don't know why I don't like that label, because I don't really think of anything bad about it. I guess it maybe just reminds me personally that there's always a chance it could come back, and I'd rather just not have it in my life. I'll be like, nope, we're done. We're done.
So if it's a pretty stark sort of question, but what if it came back?
Oh, that would be bad. I mean, now I feel like I know I could get through it again, because there's nothing like the first time. But I think the thing I disliked about it the most wasn't actually even the physical discomfort. It was just that, I couldn't see the people I love as much, and I couldn't do the things I wanted to do with them, and I was missing these important moments, or even the, not really big things, just eating breakfast with my family. It's like something we always do. We've made a point of it since my daughter was really little, is we always sit down for meals together. And so that I couldn't come to the table and eat was like really distressing. So I think that's the kind of stuff that the thought that it would make me miss out on more of those things more than all the physical discomfort.
If cancer had a voice for you, do you think it would say anything?
I hope it would say that I'm a pain in the butt.
A pain in the butt.
I hope it wouldn't like me.
You hope it would like you?
No, it would not like me.
Oh, it would not like you.
Yeah, I think it would want to stay away.
Do you feel it brought anything else in your life? I know you said you did a career change, but anything else happened or transpired because of it?
Yeah, I just think for my whole family, my husband and my daughter and myself, it really brought us a lot closer together, just because we had to strip away like everything that was unnecessary. So I think it gave us all a really good perspective moving forward. And we did actually move. At the time we were living in Arizona. We'd been there for about a year and a half, and we realized we didn't want to stay there. We moved back to California. We realized we really missed home, and that's our home. Is California.
So how does life look like for you now with cancer, or you're surviving it, that is?
Really busy with my business, and my daughter's in college, so that's great. And I work with my husband, so that's really, I think it's really good. I mean, there's ups and downs in business, but that's normal. I think that having had cancer, it makes me more tolerant of other bad things that happen, because I always just keep in relation. It's like, oh, this wasn't a good day, but I'm up and walking around, so it's all good. It's a lot harder to rattle me now.
So how can we sort of inch you closer to telling your story, but not feeling sort of chained to that story?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you get asked, what happens? Like, what's happening within you?
I think it depends on the context. If it's somebody else who is either asking me about it because they have a friend or family member who has cancer, and they're asking for advice or things they could do for themselves or a friend, I'll talk about it, and I don't really think about it that much. But I think it's mostly just in connection to my product. I don't want it to feel like I'm using this illness that I feel like I'm over and it's gone, to get attention for a business. It feels weird to me but I can't separate my story from the product. It just doesn't work.
What would be the story if you didn't have cancer with your product?
I don't know how I'd explain coming up with the product. That's been the problem. Because then it just sounds like I came up with this product randomly, and people are like, well, but how? So it doesn't make sense. So I have to keep them somewhat linked. I vary how much detail I go into. I try to keep it to a minimum as one sentence unless people really ask.
So what do you say?
Usually people ask how I came up with it, and I say, I was in treatment for breast cancer, and during chemotherapy I had a ton of medications to manage, and most of them weren't pills, so I had to come up with a different way to help my family keep track, because someone with chemo brain should not be taking medication on their own. So I came up with this product. And
do you usually get any other further questions after that?
Usually this is the part I don't like. People don't usually ask questions, but they make a really sad face, and they'll be like, oh, are you all better? Are you okay now? And it's like, yeah, I'm good.
Does that part bother you?
Yeah, because I just hate that feeling like I made someone feel bad, so now they're sort of stuck talking to me whether they want to or not, because, I mentioned cancer, so I don't want them to be like, oh, well, now I can't tell her I'm not interested. Now I have to keep talking to her.
What has been your experience in terms of support? How have people responded differently to that?
Most people are actually really excited. They feel like that makes perfect sense how I came up with it, and I haven't gotten a bad reaction. That's why I know it's my relationship with saying I had cancer. Because except for this, sad puppy face that people make, which they're saying they're doing that because they care, or they usually, I think, are probably relating to their own relationship with someone they know or themselves having cancer, and it's not me making them feel bad, but for some reason when they get that look, I all of a sudden I'm just like, oh, I made you uncomfortable and sad, and I don't like that.
So you recently participated in my interview series on Authority Magazine and its syndication in Thrive Global. How was that overall experience?
That's been awesome. But see, I got to give 5 tips to people, and that was really great because I feel like I could share something I learned from my experience that hopefully at least one person will get benefit from that. And I always think if I could help one person, change one person's life, that's pretty huge. Even if it's a little thing, even one day in one person's life, I think that's a really awesome thing to be able to do. So to have the opportunity to share something that can maybe at least help one person, hopefully more, I thought that was an amazing opportunity and super fun.
Did you get any of the sad puppy faces or anything like that from it?
I don't think I did. And I made my mom cry because I think I mentioned my mom in some part of it or something. But other than that,
yeah. So what kind of message, if you had cancer, personified as a person, what would you say to cancer?
Oh, that's a good one. Stay away, probably. But I don't know. Because I guess now that I'm doing what I'm doing and have the perspective I have, I'm appreciative of the overall experience, but I'm not one of those people that say, oh, I'm so happy I had cancer because it changed my life. I think I'm appreciative of the experience because I had no choice and I was able to make that experience into a more positive one for me to reflect on. But I don't know that I'll ever be comfortable enough to say I'm thankful for that experience because it really stunk.
Did your, you mentioned you have a child. Did your child ever say anything about your experience with cancer?
I think it was really hard for her to watch me be so uncomfortable, but she was amazingly supportive, and especially because she was in her senior year of high school. So it was a time where, there's so much going on and so many things for us to be celebrating, and her graduating and getting into college. And it was really hard for us to do a lot of the things we had planned. But yeah, and she was great with it. And it's hard. I always say to my husband and my daughter, they had a much harder job than I did, because I just did what the doctor said, and I had to do what the medication made me feel like. I didn't really have a choice. I was more just going along with what was happening to me. But they had to watch, and I think it's really hard to watch someone you care about being so uncomfortable and waiting for test results and just all the stress and angst that goes along with all that. So I'm proud of her. I think it's a terrible thing to have to watch.
And what about your husband? Have you ever had this conversation with him about it?
Yeah, I mean, I tell him all the time. I think he had the far worse part than I did, and it was really hard for him. I know he'd say so during the treatment. It was just so hard, because there was times where there was nothing he could do to make me more comfortable, or to, speed anything up that we were waiting for. And so he did everything he could, and he was amazing. But again, it's really hard to watch and to feel so helpless when somebody that you love is, in that condition. And I had a really bad time with chemo, so it was not pretty.
So how can you write a new chapter? What needs to happen in order for you to write a new chapter?
I think I'm doing all the things that I think I need to do. I just need to be more patient with it, and just get more comfortable, I think, with the idea that the cancer's behind me, and I don't have control over what happens in the future with anything, and especially not the cancer. They've said it's gone. They've, given me statistics like crazy and stuff. So I was like, it shouldn't come back, but I just need to get more comfortable the further I get away from it, to just let it kind of fade off and be what it was, just something that happened that I can talk about, and not worry about the sad puppy dog faces.
Are there any strategies or things you can use to counteract that sad puppy faces that you get from people?
I don't know. Do you have any ideas?
Well, I mean, when that happens and they give you that sort of puppy face, is there any part of your body that's like pinging or sort of feeling it the most?
I think just my brain starts to panic. I don't like to make people feel sad or manipulated or anything, so I think I all of a sudden panic, because I'm like, oh no, I made people feel sad. So I'll try to get away from that part of the story or that information as fast as possible.
Do they know that that's happening to you?
I don't know. Nobody's ever said anything, but
what is your day-to-day like? Do you have a practice, like what you do for yourself and your lifestyle and your livelihood?
I'm working on that. I'm trying to integrate more things in. My husband and I have been trying to go for a walk every evening through our neighborhood, because it's really quiet, and there's an area near us also that's like an arroyo that has lots of trees and things. So we've been trying to make time to get out of the house a lot, especially with the pandemic, because we work at home, and then we were also inside a lot because of COVID. So we've just been making an effort to do a lot more things outside. And I think that really helps. It's really nice to get out. And
okay. And what about your your relationship with your doctors? Are there any advice that's given to you?
I think just be more active, and my doctors I love my doctors, but they're very clinical, so Their advice tends to be more like, would you like me to prescribe something for that? I'm like, no, I'm good. I have enough things going on, thanks.
Have you developed a community with individuals such as yourself?
In the cancer community? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I do have a group of women. They're not like a formal group, just different people who have either reached out to me or I've reached out to over the last couple of years, and I have sort of a mixed thing, because when I was in treatment, I intentionally didn't join any groups because I was just like, nope, I'm just getting through this and I'm done. I'm not wearing the t-shirts, I'm not wearing the hat, I'm not doing the whole thing. But then when I was done, I realized, as with I think a lot of cancers, breast cancer is one that the survivorship sometimes is harder than the treatment, because in treatment, I don't know about you, but I had a team of doctors. I saw them all the time. They were calling all the time. There's portals to check in on, and I felt so looked after. And then as soon as you get that pathology report that says all clear, they start falling away, and you don't need to come back for 6 weeks, then 6 months, then a year, and it's like, wait a minute, but what if something's happening? So that's when talking to other breast cancer survivors did help to say, okay, how do I get comfortable with the fact that I really want to go hang out with my oncologist? They really don't want to see me.
So have you ever asked them how they've dealt with that story of survival and living?
Yeah, I think it varies. I think it's very personal. Some people really go all in on being really proud of being breast cancer survivors, which I totally see why. And then other people talk about it in a more clinical way. I think I try to fall somewhere in the middle where, like I said, I'll talk to people. If they write to me and ask questions, I'm happy to help, especially other breast cancer survivors. I'll talk to them all day if they want. But I don't generally just start with, hey, I'm Leeanna, I'm a breast cancer survivor. And I know a lot of women who do, and I think that's great. It's just, that's not my thing. I think it's very personal. But I've learned different things from different people. And so I think social media is great too. There's a lot of terrible things about social media, but I think for just getting tips, especially very early on, to be able to just read people's ideas and thoughts and tips from, the anonymity of social media, where I could just kind of read the things and, get up the courage to message them or something and not publicly ask questions. I think it helped me ease into the community, and I didn't feel like I have to, jump in. So I've learned a lot from other people that way, just little tips and things.
Any huge takeaways that you can sort of apply to this stage of your life?
I think the thing that I've been told in talking to some other breast cancer survivors is, even though people are making that sad face, I've been told they don't feel manipulated. They're just usually relating to something personal in them. They're not reacting to something I did to them. It's whatever their relationship is. Or a lot of people just don't know what to say if someone says they had cancer, so it's more a panic. They're probably more panicked than I am. But I just need to believe that, I think, and not worry so much that I've upset people.
What do you think could help you believe that?
Probably just time.
Time?
I think so.
And then how would you have more accountability around that? Sort of allowing yourself to have time, but yet still be okay with those puppy dog faces.
I guess if I wanted to be really bold, I could ask somebody and say, can I ask you if the way I'm presenting this story is making you sad or uncomfortable? and then I could get a definite answer from them. But I guess I've avoided having that conversation with people because it's usually somewhat in a business context, so I don't want to then start like asking them really personal questions unless they're offering something up.
You know, I had a friend who was really uncomfortable with people serving him, like literally all his life. And a reframe that sort of worked for him is sort of transforming this idea of people serving him to people helping him. Is there any way you could reframe these feelings, these uncomfortable feelings that you have sometimes?
That's actually a really good idea. I have a friend like that too. And she was actually just talking about it the other day. But I think if I try and reframe how I'm looking at that expression that people get as not something negative that I've caused, and more try and put a positive spin on it, that they're concerned or just genuinely thoughtful people and they're not judging me for sharing my story, that would probably make it easier to see.
What do you feel like that would do for you?
I think it would make it easier for me to tell this story and not so worried and not speed through that part of the story, hoping I can just get to the other part.
Well, Leeanna, we spoke a lot about sort of, your feelings on uncomfortableness, telling your story, but not having it define you. How does this sit with you right now? I'm feeling better. It feels good now. I think every time I have to talk about it gets easier and better. And I think I like the idea of trying to reframe other people's reactions and not put my feelings into what they're doing. And I think if I do that for a while, I might get more used to it. Awesome. Well, I think this is probably a good time for us to transition into the interview portion. So tell my listeners just more about Leeanna Gantt and your work and what you are doing in the world.
So I'm Leeanna, and I've mentioned TookTake quite a bit. TookTake is my company that I invented during my treatment for breast cancer. And basically, TookTake labels are little labels that you could put on any type of medication, liquids, lotions, pills, and you put it right on the bottle or package, and they have little tabs on them that you can tear off when you take a dose of your medication. So then later, if you're like me during chemo and you have 2 minutes later, have no idea if you just took it, you can look at the bottle and know that you took it, or if you still need to take it. I still use TookTake now. Most people use TookTake now, not for really serious illness. They use it to remember to take, I take tamoxifen once a day, every day. People use it for vitamins or short-term antibiotics, anything they need to use to get or stay well. I started the company about 2 years ago, and I really love hearing the stories of how it's helping people. And that's I never really thought that I'd be a business owner, and I never intended to go into the, medication adherence business, which is what I've been told this is called. Didn't even know what it was, honestly. Thought I was just forgetful. Learned there's a name for it. Medication non-adherence. So that wasn't a dream of mine, but I do love helping people, and TookTake's giving me a way to help people, and I really love that. And I love when people take the time to reach back out to me and tell me how it's helped them or their family or their pets. That I spend my days doing is getting TookTake out into the world.
What has been your biggest surprise in creating this product?
My biggest surprise, I think just that I could figure out how to run a business. I've done a lot of things, and but it wasn't something that I have any training in. I went to an art school, so I have a degree in advertising design, so it wasn't really in my wheelhouse to run a company. But I think actually not knowing things really helped, because if I knew how hard it would be, I probably would have never done it. So Yeah, I think the biggest surprise is that I could make a company and get a patent and do all of these things that I thought were so mysterious before.
What's the biggest joy you've discovered with running this company?
I think, well, first it's helping people, because like I said before, even being able to help one person I think is really huge. And if I could just help one person get through the day, that's really awesome. And I know I've helped more than that, so that's a really great feeling. And then I think the other part is, yeah, I have a daughter who, she just turned 21, and yeah, we've done all kinds of crazy things together, but I think just showing her that you can change your mind at any point in your life or change your direction, and it doesn't matter how many people say, like, well, that's crazy, what are you doing? If you really feel that it's the right thing for you to do, try it, and you can always change your mind again. There's no path. We haven't signed some contract that it's like, well, no, you decided when you were 18 that you were going to do this, so that's what you're doing for the rest of your life. I'm a big believer in changing what you're going to do. If you're not happy, don't suffer and be unhappy. And we have a little saying, like, I was just, from when my daughter was little, and people would say, what do you want to be when you grow up? Instead, I would say, what do you want to do next? Because, when they're little, they're like, oh, I want to be a fireman when I grow up, or, whatever. And it's like, okay, what are you going to do next after that? Like, because then they'd feel stuck. It's like, well, no, I told you I was going to be a doctor or whatever. And it's like, well, but maybe after that you want to do something else. What are you going to do next? And I think I'm showing her that carries over. Even, it was silly when she was little, it was a game we did, but as an adult, she can start down one path, and if she decides she's done, or it's not for her, or something else came along, it's okay to do something next. You don't have to be stuck.
So where do you see Take going?
All over the place, hopefully. We're trying to get into drugstores everywhere. We're online right now and on Amazon. But I think I want to be in every place where people get anything that they use for wellness. I don't have any agenda with just medication or pharmaceuticals. If you want to stick it on your collagen powder because that's your thing, or you want to use it to remind you to take your multivitamin, or whatever you do to keep healthy, I hope that it can be integrated into everyone's wellness routine. So just help people stay healthy, and especially younger people. There's a ton of things made for old people, but younger people need to take care of themselves too, and there's not a lot of things that are designed for them to do that. And these are great because they don't require you to sort things. You just put it on the package. You could take it with you. It's super easy. So yeah, I think get it everywhere and help lots of people.
How have you handled some of the roadblocks with launching this company?
Probably not very gracefully, but I try to have a sense of humor about it. And my latest thing is just getting a product into a retail store is surprisingly hard. Like, I don't know how I thought people got them in. I don't know how they got on the shelves. I never really gave it a ton of thought. It's really hard. So now when I'm in stores and I see something that I think is a ridiculous product, I'm like, how did they get it? Like, how did they get that in here? Like, a beach ball with a mushroom printed on it. Like, how did that get in this store and I can't get mine in? So, I usually try and find the humor in it as we're trying to, work our way through all the obstacles and ups and downs.
Has your experience with cancer helped you?
Oh, definitely. Because I think things that before would have made me stop and really question what I was doing now just don't seem that bad. It's like, okay, well, these things happen, mistakes happen, whatever it is, it's done, move on. Let's figure out what we have to do next to keep going. And so far it's worked pretty well. Obviously there's some days that are better than others, but I think after having cancer, like I said, it's pretty hard to rattle me. Like, as long as I know my family is safe and happy, I'm good.
What are some words of wisdom that you would like to impart with individuals who support you and buy your product, and even your own family?
I don't know if I have any words of wisdom, but I think I would just say, I think thank you would be what I tell all my friends and family and the people who buy my product. I think thank you for seeing something in something I created. It's an amazing feeling to know that somebody saw something that I created and thought enough to buy it, and so I want to say thank you to them all.
Wonderful. Well, where can they find you on the internet?
Our website is tooktake.com. We're also on Amazon. Our social media is at tooktake on Instagram and at Hello Tooktake on Facebook.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Leeanna.
I was just going to say, I am the one who answers everything, so however anyone wants to write in, if you have questions about anything, you'll get me.
Okay, just as long as they don't do a puppy face emoji.
Yeah,
just no puppy
exactly.
faces.
No puppy faces.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Leeanna. I really, really appreciated this conversation today with you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hi there. I really hope you enjoyed listening to today's podcast episode of The Human Resolve. If you feel that others may enjoy this episode as well, please share socially at The Human Resolve. They can also visit my website, thehumanresolve.com, where I offer one-on-one coaching sessions, daily prompts to move you in the right direction, synced directly to your smartphone, and a subscription to my weekly newsletter where I probe into the secrets from living smarter to feeding your 3 brains. If you could also help me out and give me a review and rating on this platform, because I do care what you have to say, I would really appreciate it. Now, get out there, my friends, and get busy living.